and another e-bike battery has come my way. This is a first for me. This has been sent in by one of my channel viewers. I usually say the customer's battery, the customer that, this, that and the other. But this is Nick's battery. It's exactly the same as the last one I did. A Shark type, I believe. Nothing. You press the switch. Quick look around. Do not. Usual. Upside down. Charging port. USB port. This has seen some moisture and some mud. My first thoughts on this is, see where my thumb is. There's a gap there. It's fantastic for water ingress. As usual, first port of call. Literally first port. Let's just check, see if it's got any output voltage. Niet. Nada. This is the supply charger. It looks new and untouched. 3-pin and kettle lead IEC. Close up. Its output's 54 volts. I thought this was a 36 volt battery. We'll find out later on. And 2 amp. So I'm not going to plug the charger into the battery. There's no point, seeing as we've got 0 volts. But I'll just test this. It's an unsteady voltage. So looking for battery voltage first, probably. That's the preliminary check done. I can't do any more from the outside. I'll have to take it apart. I've taken some of the tape off the pack so I can expose the bare ends. There's positive. I'm really hoping I don't find a dead pack. Not a dead pack. 49 volts. So this has probably got a BMS issue, or one of these banks are dead. I'll probe the voltages. The BMS on this is down the side here. On the previous one I did, it was on the top. But if I can probe into that JST connector down here. Just counting wires. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, plus black, 13S. There doesn't seem to be any water damage in it, which is a good thing. This BMS it's not passing any current, so that's my suspect. I'm going to see if I can get the value of the independent cell groups here, if it's all possible. Let's see if those are connected. B0 and the one next to it. Steady hand. 3.85. 3.85. 3.85, nicely balanced. 3.85. And again. My hands are shaking, stop shaking. These are too close together to shake. 3.5. 3.38. What's going on there? Come back to that one. And again. These cells seem to be in fairly good physical shape. If you haven't seen by now, these are Samsungs. I'll look and see what they actually say. Samsung's 29E ST1. 2900s, are they? I've measured all of these at 3.85 apart from two suspects. This bank and this bank marked in red. These seem to be 4 in parallel, so 13 S4P pack. If I can bring in the meter, I'll try and show. Paper's gone back in the way. 3.3 3.3, whereas the others were 3.8. With these two cell groups being low, but only on 3.3, 3.4 volts, that shouldn't affect the ability of the BMS to switch on. I was thinking that there's the switch in the corner here, whether that turns on the BMS, whether that's faulty or not. But I think I'll come to that later. What I plan to do for now is to manually balance the pack, so bringing these groups up, if possible, they should be, and then turn my attention to the BMS. I'll manually charge that first group, 2.5 amp, 3.6 volts. So that's one done. Now for the next. Just reached capacity as I was walking in. Uh, 3.83. That's close enough. I was about to pack that away for the night. I thought I'd check the outputs. Switch on. Oh yeah. I was going to say it's reverse polarity, but they're using black and red, or red to black, black to red. Yeah, so we have 50 volts on the output. I tested the USB port as well. That's also working. So that's more or less balanced. Just minor differences. If the BMS is working okay, it should be able to handle the rest. So I think a charge will be next. I've just plugged my homemade meter up into the charging port, which is over on that side. So it's showing 5 volts before I plug anything in. It's from the charger, it's unplugged from the mains. It's dropped to 2 volts. Now, is this going to charge? Or is it going to blow up? That's showing green on the charger. It's only showing 2 volts on my meter. no current. Just have to be switched off to charge. So look, it's switched off on the battery, but no charging. The whole battery voltage showing 50 volts, but it should be going to about 52 or so. See fluctuations in voltage. The BMS not allowing charging. And there is no input charging fuse on this. It's from the charging jack down there. Red goes straight to the battery and the black goes straight to the BMS. I was wondering if I should charge it with my own external power supply. Let's see if that gives the same results. I've got my boost converter here set up for 54 volt and 1 amp. No. No current taken. Does the BMS think the battery's full, is it? It's certainly not full, it's only on 3.8 volts each. I'll probably have to discharge the battery a little bit to get it lower, so we can prove that it's either taking or not taking a charge. I've got all three of my meters here in this little setup. I'm going to put a load on this. Can I get that in shot? It's through the discharge port, two wires coming off it. And these meters, one either side, are reading the banks of batteries that I charged up. So let me hook it up to my waterborne resistor. It's off to my right here. If you haven't seen that, just look at my other videos. I'm going to hook this side up. Let's look for about 10-11 amps and see if it discharges. I'll switch it on first. See what goes boom first. Is that not giving me any output? And it's not discharging. Why? I've left it just with the little red meter connected, and this one across the main voltage on the output plug. I'm going to attempt to do this again. See that? So the voltage dropped to 0 as soon as I applied a load to it. Looks like an overcurrent protection. I just reviewed that last shot I did. This meter in the back, you can see it's raising and dropping in the blink of an eye. Didn't see what value it came to, but it shut down the BMS as soon as. So I have to look into it being a BMS problem. As I was talking, see, voltage came back up. Okay, let's try again. Put it back onto the load. Maximum size of my winding. Have a look at that red meter in the background. It went up to about 4 amps I could see, then it went off again. So, it's back on. Have we got a min max on this peak hold? Go. So 12 amps. Just give me voltage but no current. What's going on? So I seem to have output voltage but no output current. A few minutes of mucking about. One last try. touching it against the load. No. So I've got a BMS that doesn't allow charging and doesn't allow discharging. I've taken the balance wires off the BMS, just doing some measurements. I'm just wondering if I put this back together, whether it will reset it or not. Maybe try to charge it as well. I'll set up a smaller load for this time, in the region of about 2 amps. I've got 4 12-volt bulbs set up off camera here. So 4 of them is at 48 volts. Switched on. We have an output. It's reset. So it'll happily do 2 amps. Can I get everything in shot? I doubt it. It's green, it's disconnected at the moment. Let's see if that will reach over. Still showing us not charging. I thought I'd got away with it, but obviously the BMS won't allow charging. See how low that is, on 47.5 volts. The new BMS has arrived, and of course it's different to the original. This should be a better quality one. Show that it's wider than the original, but it'll still fit in between the cells. And also slightly taller. It's about 20mm taller. I'm hoping it'll fit. Again, this has been pre-wired onto the board, so I'll have to splice these wires. And of course, the balance wire connector is different as well, so I'm going to have to change that. It's a different pitch. And these 2 wires, 2 yellow ones, we don't have on this one. I've put a new XH connector on the end of the balance wires. See, it's different to the original. Just make sure. Hold on. Make sure it's the same pinout as the supplied wire with the BMS. Black in the same place, and all the reds. Now I need to test this before I plug it into the BMS and make sure I got the wires right. As always, there are some unforeseen problems. The new BMS won't fit where the original one did in there. That's much smaller, and it won't fit on there either because it's about 2mm too thick, so we've had to put it on top. Pull the finger. Luckily there's some room there. I've got some extra wires here. This is an extension cable from the battery to the BMS. That's where I can plug in a LiPo charger to check if and when it charges. When, hopefully. So let's connect all that up and see if it goes. That's it all connected up. Check my extension lead. Put the LiPo charger in. This is a 6S charger, so it'll only do 6 at a time. Let's have a quick look. 3.7, 7. So they're all fairly well balanced. Okay, I'll check all of those, make sure they're okay. Plug the charger in. It's on a green light at the moment. Horrible thick wires, but there you go, red on the charger. And you see the meter's gone up as well. It's doing better than the old BMS did. At least it's accepting some charge. Charger says full. There's a green light on that. It's about 5.5 hours. I'm going to just check on my balance lead, because the LiPo tester isn't really that accurate. 4.19. I'll just do a couple of these just to check. 8, 7, yep. I have checked this previously, but this is just to show you. I've done them all, and they're all basically 4.1 to 4.2. Now I'll leave that until tomorrow and try a discharge test. I'm going to try a load test now. This is the full pack voltage. It's the ammeter per current. My water-based resistors by my feet. Oh, and the LiPo tester checking some of the cells. Okay, let's switch on. 53 volts total. Same for about 10-11 amps. Let's see if this BMS works. And ignition. It's 9 amps. Have to turn around in it. 8 amps. Shall I go higher? Let's go for 10 or 11. Ugh. Shit's back here. Stay. 9.6 amps. Let's leave it at that. What time is it? It's 16:32. See if that runs for half an hour without blowing anything up. Happy with that. Should have been running for about half an hour. Say 17:01. 29 minutes. Current's dropped to just under 9 amp. The voltage is 45.7. I think we can terminate the test there. This BMS is only just barely warm. It's about 30-40 degrees. And the cell slightly less. That's it, mostly back together. I just need to put the screws in there now. You have to be careful and put this back together, not to pinch any cables and not to obstruct the screw holes, etc. And then let's put the spring latch on top. That's all the screws in place. I've got a gauge on this. Good. Now I'll try a charge and a discharge, seeing as it's fully assembled. Just make sure everything's okay before I send it back to Nick. I've got some stickers to put back on the top. Even and got the spring to work. Lights off. And so in conclusion, what have I done to this? I had to manually balance some of the cells, test and find out that the BMS didn't work, either charging or discharging. I just got a new BMS and installed it in a different place. It's gone here instead of there. Extended some wires and changed the connector. If you found that useful or interesting in any way, feel free to give me thumbs down, thumbs up and a kebab. Kebab.